Okay, this is Mongolian Mindset, and today we're going to be doing analysis of Dr. David Sinclair, lead expert on longevity. We noticed on personality database that they seem to be confused and don't know exactly if he's an INTJ or INFJ. Today we're going to be doing a deep analysis to figure out exactly what his type is. And people are asking, how do we learn to be able to do this? Highly recommend you picking up Linda Barrens material. She goes through several metrics on how you can find your personality type, and we're just basically doing that. Okay, she has a lot of books. Just pick them up. Okay, and while you're out there, pick up Dario Nardi's work as well. Excellent book, highly recommend. More from Dario Nardi, excellent books. Pick them up. And John Beebe's book. If you haven't read these books, what are you doing in MBTI community? You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you just stop. But at that, we're gonna start with this analysis. Let's get it started.
And the diseases in old age are caused by aging itself. And so by reversing the age of a part of the body, we can actually make diseases go away. So if there's one thing that I could say to everybody, it would be to eat.
What would you say are a couple daily things we could think about or do to start reversing that aging process?
Yeah. Well, we now know enough that you can definitely slow it down. We've had some breakthroughs that seem to reverse it as well.
Okay, so what I'm taking right now is like the first thing you kind of want to notice is the person informative or direct. Okay, direct language is very concise, specific, and to the point. Informal language is kind of vague, wordy, give extra context. Doesn't really take its role in the conversation, while direct chooses its role in the conversation. And what I'm noticing right now is Dr. David Sinclair has direct language. Okay, and if he's direct language, that eliminates 8 other types that he could be.
That they're still experimental, but we're talking about one day being able to reverse the age of the body by 50, 75%. We do that.
So he's saying one day being able to reverse the age. That's futuristic, so that will go down as a point of abstraction, because that's future focus.
In mice now, we can cure old age, blindness, and this kind of stuff. But importantly, what can we do now to stay alive till those technologies come online 5-10 years from now? So if there's one thing that I could...
And he's talking about those technologies coming along 5-10 years from now. So you put another point down, that's future focus. It's got future focus.
Say to everybody, if there was only one thing, it would be to eat less often. Okay, I used to say, eat this or that, but actually, I believe that when you eat is just as important as what you eat, perhaps even more so. And so I've changed my life accordingly. So there's that. There's the exercise thing, but that's really true. And I'll tell you why it works, actually. That's important to know. And, you're a fit guy, so you're doing all those things. By the way, you look really young.
Thank you.
Right. I would have thought maybe in your 20s, but you're actually in...
Late
say
30s. Yeah, I'll be 39 in 2 months.
It's impressive. Yeah, I mean, you can't even see the stitches.
Exactly.
No, it's really great. You haven't aged since I first met you, and that's been a while.
Yeah.
And then the third thing would be to eat plants, more plants, but plants in particular that have been stressed out. So you can stress plants before you pick them. There's organic, of course, but you can pick the fruits and vegetables after they've faced adversity. A lot of light, not enough water, not enough nutrients. And there's a whole theory that we have behind that.
Okay. So he's talking about a theory. Theories will go on the abstraction as well. So we already got like 3 points for this guy being abstract. And he's direct. His direct language, he's very concise and specific. So with that being said, being direct eliminates 8 types. That eliminates the 8 informative types. Okay, and then he's future focused. So that would leave 4 types already. ENTJ, INTJ, ENFJ, or INFJ. Okay, so those are the 4 types we're looking at right now, because it's very clear to see that this guy's future focused. But we'll keep looking.
General, how do you know a plant has these molecules that I'm talking about?
The stressed out molecules.
Yeah. So plants need to survive just like we do. And those molecules, they protect the animal and the plant. And when the plants get perceived adversity, let's take a grapevine, okay, that make red wine out of. And I'm the guy that said red wine is good for you and resveratrol, and that blew up 30%.
Okay, look at him. Okay, so he's taking some little credit here. So I'm gonna put that down for TEFI. He seems to be taking some credit for that wine blowing up in sales and whatnot. So I'm gonna put down a point for TEFI on that. He's a little proud of that. Go back and look at him. Look at his face light up.
I'm talking about
The stressed out molecules.
Yeah. So plants need to survive just like we do. And those molecules, they protect the animal and the plant. And when the plants get perceived adversity, let's take a grapevine, okay, that make red wine out of. And I'm the guy that said red wine is good for you and resveratrol, and that blew up 30% sales.
30% sales worldwide. Look at his face. Oh God, he's loving that.
But so let's take red wine. So that before you pick the grape, you dry out the vines, or you hope that there's not enough rain, and then the plants.
All right. So right now he's going through a progression. So I'm gonna put down for progression. Go back. See how he's starting it. He's going into progression. Oh, buddy's going into progression.
Wine out of, and I'm the guy that said red wine is good for you and resveratrol, and that blew up 30% sales in red wine, 2006. But so let's take red wine. So that before you pick the grape, you dry out the vines, or you hope that there's not enough rain, and then the grapevine gets stressed out. Not mentally stressed, but it's fearful that it could die. So it starts making these what are called polyphenols. And a phenol is just a ring of carbon with some hydrogens on it, and poly, obviously, more. So this resveratrol is 2 carbon rings with some little 8 OHs, oxygen, hydrogen. They make a ton of it, and it's bottled in red wine, and that's why one of the reasons why you probably have some health benefits when you drink red wine in moderation.
Right.
You see, he went through the progression of all of that. So yeah, we're gonna put down a point for progression. We got a point for TEFI. We already know that he is abstract, and we know he's direct.
And when you take resveratrol as a supplement, it also has similar benefits. It's found in clinical trials.
Wow.
So
So he's talking about clinical trials here,
yes.
and the studies from that. So that's more TE data. So put down another point for TE.
So I've been taking resveratrol myself for over a decade now, probably 14 years.
Is that what covers up the stitches?
Yeah, right. Actually, people on the internet make fun of me. They say, you've had work done.
Right.
And I'm now 52, so it's getting up there.
52?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, time's it's hard to stop that one.
Right.
But anyway, these molecules, you know a plant has them when the plant is full of color. So try to have a variety of colors. Don't get the white insipid lettuce. Get the bright orange, whatever.
See,
organic.
another thing about being direct is he's telling you what to do. Okay, he's telling you exactly what to do. He has no problem doing that. So yeah.
If they've been kept in a greenhouse at perfect temperatures, that's probably not the best kind of food to eat.
Really?
Yeah. And I've gone more plant-based. I know there's a lot of people that love meat. I love meat. I wish meat was super healthy. I'd eat it all day.
But based on the scientific trials and studies.
Yeah, and on social media, there's a lot of debate. So I don't mind going up.
There's so many people that talk about meat who swear by it, and a lot of them look young. A lot of them look really lean and shredded.
Yeah,
and
they will.
I've lost all this body fat from eating meat and the meat-only diets and all these things. I've gotten rid of the eczema. I've gotten rid of the other, allergies or whatever might be, challenging them in those times. So you hear certain studies of this from people, but I guess having that diet for 40, 50 years, we haven't really seen that, right? It's like, okay, maybe it works for 5 years or 3 years, but how does that affect you with aging long term, right?
That's right. So I've had debates with Joe Rogan ad nauseum about this. So what the way to think of it is that you can mimic adversity or abundance. And the abundance is the steak, and what I do is the adversity, which is not as much protein.
Interesting.
And there are systems in the body that sense.
Okay, so the systems in the body. We're gonna put a point down for systematic.
a slight deficiency of protein, or at least a
So
lower
like
level.
we are down to 4 types: ENTJs, INTJs, ENFJs, INFJs. Okay, so NFJs are people focused. NTJs are systematic, and they're TEFI. So we're getting points for TEFI and we get points for systematic. We can almost get rid of ENFJ and INFJ.
And kick in the defenses that we think make us live a long time. But you can go to abundance and you'll feel great. You can look great. You can build muscle a little bit more, not a lot more, but a little bit more. But that when people say that works for me, it's within a few years of time frame. I'm talking 50, 60, 70, 80 years, like you said. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm betting on. Otherwise, you're burning the candle at both ends.
So he's betting on the long term. So he's betting on the future. And that's why he's plant-based or pescatarian or whatever he is. So we're going to put down a point for abstract, future focus.
Now, one way to do it perhaps is to spend a year on a carnivore diet, fix yourself, bulk up, mm-hmm. and then switch, and then maybe go back and forth. There's a lot to be said about variety in biology. And in the case of resveratrol, when we gave resveratrol to the mice, not every day, but every other day, that was the best lifespan extension.
Not giving it to them in abundant format.
And he's talking about get the best. And he's talking about a study again, so that's going to be more points for TEFI and pragmatic. So this guy is looking like an NTJ. I'm going to go ahead and cross through ENFJ and INFJ, and the reason why is because they're people focused. This guy seems to be, he's systematic. He's system focused. He's data, research, all that focused. He's not people focused.
Yeah.
So what happened to the mice when you gave it to them every day as opposed to every other day?
They didn't statistically live longer unless they had some other adversity, which in that case was a high-fat diet. And then resveratrol worked really well to protect them, and they lived longer.
Wow. So have high-fat diet and that supplement.
Then if you're like a mouse, if you are a mouse, then you will do pretty well.
That was benefiting them, got you. But for a human, how would that impact?
Well, we don't actually know. There's been a number of studies. If you take a high dose...
See, he's talking about study. So I'm going to go ahead and take TEFI off the board with direct and abstract. So we're down to ENTJ or INTJ. The difference between INTJ and ENTJs, obviously, ENTJs initiate and change subject a lot. INTJs are responding, so they pretty much stay on subject, and they're introverted. That's how you show that they're introverted versus extroverted. And ENTJs are outcome focused, so they pretty much talk about outcomes only. Rarely do they ever talk about the process or the progression to things. So, and we already got a point for progression with him, so it's looking like this guy's probably an INTJ. But let's keep going. Let's make sure.
And a tiny bit of yogurt every day, and that's important. If you mix it with water, it'll sink to the bottom.
It won't work.
It won't be absorbed into the body.
Really? So it needs to be. You can't just eat it, drink water. Put it in a pill format and drink water.
No,
it's gotta be
so that's a real tip. Is you got to dissolve it in something, a yogurt or some olive oil, for it to get in.
It doesn't dissolve in water, and it won't penetrate the system, or what?
Yeah, it'll flow straight through. It's little crystal lumps. So a lot of these plant molecules, there's one called quercetin, physetin, resveratrol. A lot of the supplements you get, if you break open that capsule, and often they're yellow or white, and you put it in water, and it doesn't dissolve, it'll sink to the bottom in these crunchy little crystals. It's not going to get absorbed.
So if it dissolves in water, that's good. That's okay.
Right.
So let me go back on that because I think he just did another progression.
Most of this stuff from plants is going to be...
He's not talking about outcomes.
A lot of these plant molecules, there's one called quercetin, physetin, resveratrol. A lot of the supplements you get, if you break open that capsule, and often they're yellow or white, and you put it in water, and it doesn't dissolve, it'll sink to the bottom in these crunchy little crystals, it's not going to get absorbed.
So if it dissolves in water, that's good. That's okay.
Right.
So he just went through the progression of that.
But
so I'm
most
going to
of
put down
the
a point of progression.
is going to be just straight through the body. A little bit will get absorbed, but if you take it with yogurt or some food, we actually know
because
5 times.
You can tell that he's really into the process of things, not the outcome. He wants to know the process. He just walked them through the process of research. whatever that medicine is. I mean, whatever that mineral is or whatever it is. You just walk them through the process of what happens when you put it in water. So yeah, I'm gonna put down a point for process or progression.
The levels.
So you can take it with food as well, and it'll dissolve better. It'll digest better.
Right.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. So these are a few things you mentioned. Eat less often. You didn't say eat less. You said eat less often. So you can still eat less often, but pack it in the meal.
Well, that's what I do. I have a big dinner, and I really enjoy it now because I'm not eating much during the day. And it comes from a study. And actually, it's important.
More
I'm not
studies.
talking about malnutrition.
More studies.
Certainly not talking about starvation. So, if you're a teenage kid, this is not for you. It's kind of people in their late 20s, 30s at least. But you don't want to have a calorie deficit unless you regard yourself as being obese or your doctor recommends it. I have to maintain my weight, which I do pretty easily. Yeah, so I eat a pretty big dinner, and it's great. Multiple courses. I don't eat dessert, though. I gave up sugar when I was 40.
Really?
And do not regret that at all.
What have been the biggest benefits of 12 years no sugar?
Surprisingly more energy, actually. This combination of the plant-based one main meal a day and no sugar, I feel so much better.
So he's talking about a system there again, so put on the point for systematic. But we know INTJs, INTJs and ENTJs are both systematic types.
I power through the day, and I measure my blood glucose levels on occasion.
I'm supposed to be doing that soon. Do you recommend it?
Well, yeah, you'll learn a lot about your body.
Yeah, and how much junk you put in your body when you,
Yeah, and what you'll see, what kind of meals do you have during the day? I mean, 3?
Well, I go through, it depends on the season of life, but I try to skip breakfast most times, and then, I haven't eaten today, and it's 2:45. So I just had a coffee and some ghee, and then, I'll maybe have a protein bar in the afternoon, and then I'll have a dinner. But it all depends on the season of life. Sometimes I'll have breakfast and lunch and dinner, sometimes I'm fasting, so.
Okay. But it sounds like you're on your way.
Yeah.
You're doing something, which is good. Well, you're obviously doing something.
Yeah.
You look like a kid, man. That's great. Whatever you're doing, keep doing that. But yeah, you want to have this period of about 18 hours at least to let your body produce its own blood sugar. And so your blood sugar actually comes from your liver. It's called a process, gluconeogenesis.
Okay.
Gluco, sugar, new, genesis, obviously. And what I saw in my blood levels when I was measuring it, and I do this maybe every month, is contrasted.
He does it every month, systematic. It's not systematic. Not another point for systematic.
To what somebody who eats 3 meals a day, it's super steady. I have this green line across here, and it's wiggling here, and then I have dinner, it goes up a little bit, but never out of this zone unless I eat a chocolate or something.
With the blood sugar levels is what you're saying, right?
Glucose levels,
Glucose levels, not blood sugar level.
Well, it's called blood sugar, but glucose is the molecule. Yeah.
And so it goes up a little bit when you have dinner, but it's steady throughout the day.
For me.
For you.
Because I've trained my liver to do that.
To produce.
See that? I train my liver to do that. Systematic.
Produce it at that level.
Well, it's really smart. It knows what I need, and I power through the day. So I feel so good. I never get the brain fog. I never feel hungry. Well, not very. And I certainly don't have that, I'm caffeinated.
We're going to explain what systematic is. He's implementing a structure or system to have more control over life. So he's naturally just doing that, and it shows that he's systematic.
Jitters kind of thing. And that's because it's steady. And I've measured myself eating 3 meals a day. And this is what happens. This is a typical person.
More TFI, measure myself doing this, measure myself doing that. So yeah.
Huge spike above, it goes up 150, 200 units. And then you'll feel good for a while. And then 3 hours later, it's called postprandial, your body puts out a ton of insulin through pancreas.
And you can see this again, he's going through the progression of this.
Pulling the glucose out of your bloodstream into your tissue units.
Look at that.
And then you'll feel good for a while. And then
look, he's going through the progression of another thing.
Not very. And I certainly don't have that, I'm caffeinated, got a jitters kind of thing. And that's because it's steady. And I've measured myself eating 3 meals a day. And this is what happens. This is a typical person. Breakfast, huge spike above, it goes up.
See that? He's going through the progression of things. Look at it.
And then you'll feel good for a while. And then 3 hours later, it's called postprandial, your body puts out a ton of insulin through pancreas. And it'll shoot down, pulling the glucose out of your bloodstream into your tissues. But it'll overshoot. The body just now goes down. So I'm here. An average person goes up here, down there. And now I can tell Now I'm hungry, I can't think, I need a snack, right? And it's down here. And then what do? I go and have lunch or a snack. It's back up here again. And then that's happening 3 times a day for most people.
And another
that's
thing
the
about
problem.
being
You know, if you
abstract is they talk about ideas and intangible things. He's talking about nothing but intangible things right now. He's not talking about anything tangible. Okay? So, yeah, he's abstract, he's direct, he uses the functions TE and FI, and he's progression. So he looks like an INTJ. But we're going to watch more.
You want to not worry about food and have a lot of energy and think really clearly. You want that.
So what are other ways of reaching
That's
that
another
kind
system.
of even blood sugar level or glucose level? Is it doing the 1 meal a day? Can you eat smaller meals, throughout the day? How do you stay consistent? What are the different ways to do it?
Yeah, well, you can eat small meals in small bits during the day. That's the old way of doing it. That's what nutritionists
Like eat 5
sometimes
times
say.
a day, but small.
Yeah, I don't believe
Then
that.
you're spiking it.
See,
5
he
different
doesn't
times, right?
like the old school stuff. So he doesn't like what worked in the past. INTJ is really our future focus. So he wants to know what's working in the future.
A little bit, yeah. But really what you want is for your body to get the thought that it could run out of food. This is the adversity
You
mimetic.
see those thoughts?
Okay? You always want your body
Abstract.
to feel like you could die next week.
What are the benefits of
All right, so
tricking your body to think it's going to die in a week?
Well, it's not having food in your mouth for most of the day. It's running and lifting things. Right? We know these are good for us. Now I'm telling you why.
So we're gonna skip
Scientifically,
around?
not just that it makes you feel good.
Just to
It's
skip around?
the one main meal a day.
He would be grateful for.
I'm sure of it. And as a result, I'm leaner and where you wouldn't want to live longer if you're doing a profession that every day is painful or just way too much work. You and I have the privilege that we can do jobs from an armchair, but not everybody. So I just want to realize that not everybody's in our situation, but hopefully if you have an extended lifespan, you'll be able to change professions if you're in one that you don't like and have the possibility of 3, 4, 5 different careers.
Right. What are the things you've done or you're doing now that your 10-year-old self will be so happy for? Like if he was in front of you right now, he'd just be hugging you and high-fiving you nonstop. The things you're doing that he will appreciate in 10 years. And then what are a few things that he's going to say, man, I really wish you want to do that right now?
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So let's see. So I measure myself so I can speak scientifically, not just that it makes me feel good.
See, he said again, I can measure myself, not scientifically. So that's systematic, TEFI. We got so many points on that. It's crazy.
It's the one main meal a day.
He would be grateful for.
I'm sure of it. And as a result, I'm leaner and, more ripped. I hate to say that word.
You look lean.
I am lean.
You look really lean.
I've gone
shredded
over the last 2 years from 150 pounds to 133.
Yeah, you look leaner even from the first time I had you on. Your face is leaner and chiseled.
Yeah, I don't think I can lose any. I want to lose any more.
Yeah.
I need to go back to the gym and do a little bit more.
So the 1 meal a day, but you weren't doing 1 meal a day, 5-10 years ago?
No, I only started during the pandemic. This is new for me too. It's hard actually when you begin.
Very hard.
You feel hungry because you've got those crashes that make you really hungry, and you've got this hormone called ghrelin that makes you hungry. But once you get through that, it takes about 3 weeks. So anyone who tries it, make sure that you don't give up early. Just power through, and then your liver will wake up.
1 main meal a day.
So that's one.
Gosh.
The other thing I think that he will be happy is don't eat sugary foods.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Don't eat that cake. So at a restaurant, when they say, do you want dessert? I always say no, but then I'm hoping that someone at the table
That you
orders
take a
what I
bite.
want. Yeah, but that's all I need.
Right.
I need to taste it. I don't
Right.
need to fill myself with a cake.
Gotcha. Because you still want to enjoy your life and live a full life, but you
Yeah.
don't want to, in 10 years, be like, why do they eat cake every day?
It's not worth it,
Yeah.
really. Your future self will thank you for it.
See, that's another one. Your future self will thank you for it. Futuristic.
Lifting weights, I know you do that, so I need to do more of that. I got a standing desk, so most of the day I'm standing, which is great. Again, you have to get used to it. You'll feel tired for the first few weeks.
Yes.
They just gotta do anything
Intellectual.
for results. Standing desks. Pragmatic, dude.
I'm now mostly focused on eating plants.
When
I
did
know
you start that?
That's recently.
Eating mostly plants.
Yeah, I've switched. I love meat. I wish that I could eat more. But you just got to look at the science. There's some really good studies of thousands of people who just look at.
See, you talking about studies again. You gotta look at the studies. You gotta look at the studies. TFI.
how long people live and what they eat. And I mean, it's not even an argument.
But there's so many people that
not
bring
even
in
an
the
argument.
argument, well, all these people have cured these diseases or whatever, gotten rid of these things from meat only. But people make the argument, right? Like you see it online, people making the argument for meat. So where are they finding these research studies of people living longer on an only meat diet?
I don't know.
But you're not seeing them. You're not seeing studies of anyone that lives over 100 that all they do is eat meat.
Well, there might be one person or two, but
Right.
when you look at 10,000 people, what they eat, it's the vegan and the pescatarian that win out.
In the blue zones, right.
Yeah, and the
Talking
numbers
about TE data.
are something like that. You drop it down to, you got 88% less chance. Or actually, it's 12% chance for most diseases. So most diseases are protected by these diets.
Really? Wait a minute, 80% less chance of what?
Of dying at any one point in the age range of the study, which
Oh, wow.
which is
By
Studies,
being a
studies.
pescatarian.
yeah. So it's vegan, pescatarian; those are the best. Then above that would be actually pescatarian was better than vegetarian. A little bit of meat seemed to help, but it has to be fish. And
With
then,
the omega-3s in there, right?
yeah, and particularly oleic acid's good, which is found in avocados and olive oil. That activates one of the protective enzymes that we study in the lab.
Which acid?
Oleic, OLEIC.
What is some of that, but not a lot of
It's a
that?
monounsaturated fatty acid, or a MUFA. If you have a bit of olive oil, there's a supplement online that I get that has high levels of oleic acid in it that I take every day
Okay, cool.
with the DHA and EPA,
Yeah, all that stuff, yeah.
all that good stuff.
Yes, okay.
So that's my fish intake is a pill.
You don't eat fish, or you eat very little.
Well, I'm evolving my diet. So I've gone from a Mediterranean diet over the last 10 years.
So he's talking about the progression of his diet again. So not talking about the outcome. He said I've
I'm
evolved
evolving
my diet.
my diet. So I've gone from a Mediterranean diet over the last 10 years to the last 2-3 months to all plant-based, no dairy, and no
See
meat.
that from the
And I'm
progression.
just seeing what happens to my body. I'm measuring things. It's an experiment.
Measuring
Yes.
TE.
It's not a philosophy. And if things don't work out
You'll go
biologically,
If
I'll go
things
back.
don't work out,
I mean, I'd
abstraction.
love to go back to a steak. I'm Australian after all. But I'm driven by science, and that's all.
I'm
it is.
driven by
Yeah.
science.
Okay, so you got these 4. Was there another thing that your future self would thank you for? 1 meal a day. Don't eat sugary foods. That's going to be one of the most challenging for me. Lifting weights. Eating mostly plants. Was there anything else?
Get control over psychological stress.
Oh, yeah.
Get control
Why is
over
this
psychological
so-
stress. So I'm guessing he's going to implement a system to do that. So let's see what it
Important.
says.
Well, the main problem is you have high levels of cortisol when you're stressed out psychologically. And it's clear that people who have really high levels of stress are chronically ill. And even it accelerates gray hair. That's actually a fact. It's not just a myth. You really are getting older if you have stress.
Really? So this scientifically proven that if you're stressed out all the time or more frequently, you're going to get older, biologically.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you reverse gray hair without dyes?
Yes.
Really?
Well, not routinely, but there are examples of that. There are some drugs that have shown in the clinic that make hair go grey, from grey to brown. The best example I can tell you is that
The
when
best
people are
example.
stressed out, let's say they're in the banking world and they're losing their minds, you can find hairs that start to turn grey. Okay, so you look at them and they're a little bit grey at the bottom. Oh, God, I'm turning grey. Okay, then they get given a vacation and they go away for a couple of weeks. And guess what happens to the hair shaft?
It gets brown.
It's brown again.
Come on.
You can find these grey-brown segments of hair.
So you see the progression.
People.
You went in another progression.
And what they tracked it
From the
down
hair.
to was that the cells that make the hair pigment start to shut down, but they can be reinvigorated. But I suspect once you've been grey for a number of years, it's really hard.
It's hard to
get back
reverse
again.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but you know, I'm the first person to say aging is not unidirectional. In my lab, we're driving it forwards and backwards at will. It's not
That's crazy.
really difficult anymore once you figure it out. Any high school student could do it these days in a mouse, at least.
to drive the aging process faster and also reverse it.
We're done here. Dr. David Sinclair is direct. That means he has specific, concise language. He's not informative. He's abstract. He thinks about ideas, intangibles, being future focused. He's progression, which means he cares about the journey. He talks about how things get through a progression of things. He did that several times in his interview. And he's heavy scientific data. TFI, he talks about studies all the time, outside sources. So personality database. Dr. David Sinclair is not an INFJ. He's an INTJ. And we recommend you guys pick up, for more clarification on what we do, pick up Linda Barrens' material. But yeah, let us know if you comment below if you agree with what we type Dr. David Sinclair as. Let us know in the comments. If you like the material, subscribe. If you don't, keep going. But we'll keep breaking down more and more personality types.